Many fine artists have matured in this neighborhood, but the Cass Corridor is not a pretty picture. It's very intense. You see a lot of people buckle under. In my mind, I sort of keep a death watch, not just the derelicts, but the creative people.
There's this cross-connection between artists of very different media. Visual artists, musicians, filmmakers, writers. Everybody kind of knows everybody else, unlike, say, Chicago or New York.
Lowell and I are artists, and the content of our work reflects, to a large extent, what we observe in this neighborhood. I like to project images to the observer, much like a mental mirror. In the picture, one sees situations and people, they're doing things. But it's up to the individual to decide what they're doing and why they're doing it. People come up to my paintings, they look at them and begin to describe whole scenarios. And I listen to them and I say, gee, that sounds great. The fun thing is that you never get anybody seeing the same thing twice.
President Reagan, who said he ordered the attack.
The original concepts for my art pieces come from a wide spectrum of places, feelings, depending on what I'm drawing. If it's something that's out of my personal experience, like war, I've never been through a war. If it's something more direct, something that I'm familiar with, like going to Alvin's Twilight Bar for a drink, which is sort of a very natural hangout for me, a place where I feel at ease, the pictures come out a lot faster and a lot easier, in a sense. Take the Twilight Bar, for instance. I'd do a picture in which I had, say, I like to draw a square first, a head over here, and then there's the, let's see, the bar is over here, so I can put a person sitting here. After about 3 or 4, sometimes 5 hours, you end up with something like this. And it's at this point that you can really start to wonder if you've got something worthwhile sticking onto a canvas or something like that.
I think Stephen and I are both realists in that we choose to depict extreme moments, but they are real moments. Many times I might choose to combine the colors of windows one day with the color of the sky from another day. When I juxtapose my own thematic elements and amplify the perspective, the painting becomes surreal in a sense. Yet all these moments have occurred in reality.
Lowell tends to look for the beautiful, the optimistic aspects of life, while my head is incurably drawn to a point of irritation far on the horizon line. Many of my pictures don't hang well in a dining room or over a sofa. I find an almost incurable voyeuristic need to acquaint myself with the people who buy these odd pictures.
I like to use a lot of universal but benign images in my paintings. Cars, factories looming up over houses in the background. There are many people who don't see factories as negative places necessarily. It's a way out for them, a living and a future. I don't want to preach to anyone in my paintings. I would rather people find a pleasant, thoughtful diversion, not a sermon. Stephen and I work in a medium we call primary color gum stencil painting. The technique is sort of like batik or printmaking in that we apply a resist, the gum arabic, in areas where we don't want the color to be. It's unlike brush painting in that the painting evolves from a rough sketch to an almost mud color at the end. And you don't know exactly what it's going to look like until you've washed down the final layer. The paint is then applied in a very thin layer with an airbrush. I'll only use about 10 to 20% as much paint as I would in a brush painting. The net result is that the paint is very thin, and the light striking the painting not only reflects directly from the surface of the pigment, but passes through it. and comes out again, absorbing still more color on the second pass. After the paint has been applied, I wash down the canvas with an ordinary garden hose. All areas blocked with the gum will remain white, and I am able to see any area of the painting which will contain any amount of yellow.
After the yellow application is complete, I apply the resist for the next layer, which is red. Again, this is accomplished with a spray gun in very thin layers. Lastly, the resist for the blue pigment is applied to the canvas. Although the painting is very nearly complete, it's impossible to see the final product. The final wash, the revealing of the picture, which develops right before your eyes, is such a rush that we began to invite our friends to share the moment.
Oh, is that where you studied in England before you came here?
Yeah, that's where I did my buffa.
Your buffa.
I'm a buffa mamuffa.
What does that mean?
BFA, MA.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm a ba and ma.
Red added on, okay? And then here, after there is this one. This is with the blue, see? So that starts with yellow and red.
After the wine is flowing and the spirit's at a peak, we wash a body of work. It's very exciting and very liberating to sort of expose oneself at such an extreme moment. Well, this is it. This is the first time I get to see this thing for real. When I've finished a body of paintings, I'm not going around reeling in abject terror. It's a little like the collecting of debris after a storm. It's not much fun cleaning up after a storm. We finished these. Lowell and I were working until about 5:30 last night. We got 5:30 this morning. We finished. It started 5:30 last night. No.
That's right, and I was looking at
The water's getting so soapy and putting that gum.
We consider ourselves romantic painters. Perhaps I see the world with a little more optimism, the belief in the possibility of a bright and equitable future.
Oh, I love it.
Pull it apart.
I may be considered old-fashioned. To me, it's just a matter of where you look, up or down.
Oh, wow, it is pretty terrific.
An intense orange with a blue one.
And how the green comes out of...
The support system for artists in Detroit is not that strong. The general regard for Detroit is it is sort of a satellite city which spins artists off to New York or someplace. But that's changing. The cask order has gained a lot of respect over the years.
The gum stencil is not an end in my development of technique. Stimulation is most important, so growth is essential. I hope to manifest further ideas with 3D and propagation of ball lightning, stuff like that.